Good God. You know, one of the most rewarding, good Lord. I felt very rewarded today and yesterday, actually. This show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, I call it experiment to see if it's something I'm going to stick with. It's been very rewarding of lately. Not only just everybody like watching, viewing, the guests loving how they're being represented online on the interwebs. But I got a message from somebody yesterday that was like, "Hey, I don't have an email address. I don't have a YouTube account. I can't subscribe, but I just wanted to let you know what you said a few weeks ago about it's okay to not be okay meant a lot. I needed to hear it." And they asked me to embellish on things, how I get out of depression. And look, man, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have their own way of dealing with it. I heard something once from somebody saying, you're not always doing as bad as you feel, but how you feel can make everything and everyone around you feel bad. I think that's the fine line. I know people that kind of live in that negative state of mind to where it's they're mad all the time. You can watch them smiling and then be like, "Hey, was that fun?" They're like, "No, not really." Don't be a mope, man. It's okay to not be okay, but it's also not okay to make others around you not okay because you're not okay. You have to deal with those coping skills internally. I don't mean don't talk to people. Just get a therapist. Therapy is fucking amazing. Love it. But it's not okay to make other people not feel okay because you don't feel okay. But thank you for watching. Please continue to do so. This week we have somebody very special that I wanted to get when I first started this, but I didn't know if I was ever going to see him again. Mr. Scott Hilbourn. Scott was, and we're going to talk about it more, but he was a security guard or the babysitter for the house that I had to live in rehab. Like at the end of the day, they would ship us to this house across the street. It stunk. It was dirty. It was overcrowded with people. And you had to live with these people. It was like a little prison, man. It was all fenced in. There was sand around the outside of the house. They could tell if footprints had been there. It was crazy, man. But Scott made me feel good about being there, and I always remembered that. I never forgot it, and I never really got a chance to tell him about that until we recorded this episode. But I love this. Scott's a good dude. Thank you to Wilmington Treatment Center and Tony and Kelly from the aftercare program, the IOP, for letting us record there. You guys are wonderful. Thank you. So here, new episode this week. Not sure what number it's going to be yet because I am unorganized. Enjoy, Scott Hilbourn. Good to see you, dude.
It's good to be seen, man.
I was wondering about you when I started this. You were one of the first people I thought about, and I was like, "What happened to Scott?" Like, and then that's actually the reason I went back to the meeting that I used to see you at all the time.
Really?
And I was like, I want to go see if he's interested in this because I don't like going to meetings. I'm not going to go to meetings and promote it or try to recruit. Yeah. Luckily, the community has been awesome at recommending people for it. But I went back there and you weren't there, and I was like, "Man, where's Scott?" I was like, "Did he fall off?" I was like, "I don't know, maybe."
I did fall off the face of the earth for a little while.
Right. I meant the wagon.
No.
Yeah. So I was like, "Man, where'd he go? And then I just all of a sudden
The day I messaged you, you popped up in the people you may know, and I'm like, fuck! There he is!
Yeah.
So I messaged you immediately. I'm like, hey, let's do this.
I've been off social media for 4 years, man. And then I needed a dryer.
Yeah, you got to.
I needed a dryer, and I was like, I'm going to look for some, and my wife, she got tired of me looking on Marketplace on her phone and said, get your own. And I found a dryer, and then I ended up staying on Facebook, and I've had friends say, dude, it's an election year.
Yeah.
And half your friends are Fish fans, the band, and they're all insane. And like, why are you back on Facebook? And I was like, I needed a dryer.
It's
and the dryer, it works okay. But looking for a deal, and I got a deal. And it was just like, just to be blunt, I don't go to a lot of meetings anymore.
Yeah.
I go to like one a week, one every couple of weeks, depending on like what's going on. I got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But getting back on Facebook allowed me to be here right now.
Yeah, it's a reconnection.
Yeah, and I'm using it a lot more appropriately.
Yeah.
Instead of like wasting my whole day scrolling, I'm checking it a couple times a day. And
have you gotten TikTok?
No.
Okay, don't. If you want to fall back down that rabbit hole of scrolling nonstop, I can take 2-hour shits because of TikTok, and just like
I'm good.
Like it's stupid and it's toxic. And, if the government bans it, like, I'm all for my freedom, my rights, whatever. I don't think technology is a right.
They took our TikTok.
Yeah, like, if they ban it, they ban it. But right now, like, I'm loving watching, like, my whole algorithm is RC cars, kids falling down, sober stuff because of this show.
What's not to love about kids falling down?
It's the best thing ever. I saw one the other day where the kid was just walking with an ice cream cone. Like, his grandparent gave him an ice cream cone, and he was like the biggest, happiest look on his face. And then another kid just walks over and smacks the top off of it, and he was like, "Ha!" And he just runs over and pummels that kid. So it was like 2-for-1 video. It was great.
It's incredible. A little shit.
I met you. Can I talk about where I met you? Do you care?
Yeah, absolutely. I
met you, and you were a huge part of like my early recovery. Like, when I went into rehab, like, I was ready. I've talked about this. I was ready to be done. I was ready to change. I paid attention. I was looking, and of course, I was a comic at the time, so I just wanted to like make everybody laugh. That came back to bite me in the butt. I'll tell you about that some other time. I was making fun of a dude, and he got out, and then he left for like 5 years, and I saw him like 2 months ago, and he wanted to fight me in Food Lion. Yeah, it was great, because he was like, "Man, you told me how you said that I like to fuck with steak knives," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I did. Yeah, I did."
Still holding on to that. Sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, no, he definitely wasn't where we are. But then, like, you were the lookout, the security for the houses.
Yes,
that they had.
Glorified babysitter.
That's what it was.
Absolutely.
It was. I didn't understand. For one, like, it was I wasn't ready for rehab in the way that, because there was so many people there that were court ordered.
Yeah. They
had to treat everybody like they were court ordered. I had never had anybody like put me in line like that before, like the treatment center was.
Yeah.
Not you, but the treatment center. They kind of had to like treat everybody the same, and it was with respect. It wasn't horrible. I loved WTC.
Yeah.
I'd tell everybody, like, if you need that help, go there. It's great. I mean, they gave us this place, but I felt very confined, very like, I don't want to say not respected, because I was, but it was weird. I'd never had that before. I mean, I was middle-aged, entitled white male, and then the only time I felt like somebody actually trusted me was at that house. And it was like at night, I wanted to like have the window open because it was so fucking steamy and my roommate stunk.
Yeah, those rooms smell pretty bad.
They smelled pretty bad. So I'd like have the window cracked. And I remember the first night, the other guy that was there, he was just like, you got to close it. I'm like, man, look, I'm claustrophobic. This stinks in here. If you could just let me do this tonight and trust me, I'm here for the right reasons. And he was like, all right, I'm going to come by. You see this sand? And he told me about the sand where it gets raked in the footprints. Yeah. I'm like, cool. And then the next morning, like, I guess he was messing with me. Like, he was just like, I saw that, there was footsteps out there last night. I'm like, well, they weren't from me, homie. Maybe somebody was jacking off looking at me through the window. I don't know. But then, like, the next night.
On Shipyard Boulevard, it's likely.
Very likely. And then the next night you came by, and it was kind of the same thing, but you were like, no, I get it. Cool. Like, don't fuck up, dude. I'm like, got it. And then after that, it was like, when I saw you in the office, I'm like, I'm going to go chat with that dude. Like, he looks cool, you know? And it was always a nice time coming in there. Like, I would make excuses to buy snacks to get away from the people I was living with to just come in there and chat with you for a second. And then, of course, everybody wanted to hang around because I was making them laugh. They would follow me, and I'm like, I don't like any of you. I want to get out of here. But it was cool, man. Like, you were like the person that showed me, like, treated me like I wasn't a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I had the trust of, like, I don't know if it was like, yeah, this guy's here for the right reasons, or it was just a lack of, like, caring. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, it's a little bit of like, you're going to do what you're going to do. I can't control that.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I also know what it's like to be on the other side because, like, I was in those shoes too.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up being in treatment for the right reasons, not necessarily initially, but I ended up, like, ending up in treatment myself for the right reasons. And just, like, give me a little bit of trust.
Yeah.
And if you do that, like, I promise, I'll show you that I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in that role, like, I would give they're like, if you give an inch, they'll take a mile. But I'm like, if you don't give an inch, like,
it's going to go the other way.
It's going to suck, you know, either way. And like, allowing people to just be just to be treated as another human being. Like, cause, like, I know what it's like to have the world look at me and think you're the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can't trust you. And we can't keep our purses around you. We can't keep our doors unlocked around you. Whatever. That's, like, my experience. But to just give, some of it's, like, not caring is, I guess, not necessarily not caring, but just, like, screw it. Like, you're going to do whatever you want to do.
If you're not here for the right reasons, that it's on you.
You're going to find a way to unlock that door or that window either way.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Like, if you're not here for the right reasons, fuck you, free up a bed and give it to somebody who is. And that's cool. I mean, I had a good experience in rehab, you know? Like, I wasn't like, I stayed out of, like, all that. There was a lot of people there just doing some dumb stuff, and I just didn't associate with them. Yeah. But I was also older, you know? Like, I'm 44 now. Oh, God, I suck at math.
So you were like 36 or something?
Yeah, it's been over 7 years. It was 7 years this past March. So, yeah.
I suck at math, too.
42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37.
That was close.
And that was for real. That wasn't me just making a joke. I was fucking counting on my fingers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not good at math at all. I'll fix your computer like there's no tomorrow. Don't ask me how to give you change. I'm just So, how long were you at that job after I left?
So I started that position in, like, February 2014, and I did that part-time until I think July of 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it was like right after I got out pretty much.
I
got out in April.
Yeah, so July of 2017 is when I stopped working there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did, man.
Me too.
Like I mean, I'm just glad you worked there, like, and got out of there.
Yeah.
Whichever one, both.
Yeah, it was a stepping, like, so I got that position as the glorified babysitter at the treatment center houses at the 1 year mark of being sober, because I'd, I guess, proven myself to the guy who owned those houses and contracted out to the treatment center that I was trustworthy, that I was doing the deal, that I was living recovery.
Yeah.
And I got that position, and it was my introduction into counseling.
There you go.
Yeah. So I ended up going from there to going back to school in 2015, 16. And then I ended up getting a job at another treatment facility here for young men like 18 to 30-ish years old. It was, and I got clinical supervision through that job, which allowed me to, which the State Board of Substance Abuse Professionals recognized and allowed me to take the board exam. And I took the exam, and I started working as a counselor. And that glorified baby sitting position was my introduction to counseling.
Nice.
And because I can't tell you how many times that somebody would come in and buy a candy bar in that little room at those houses, and I would end up having a counseling session with them. Right. But really just talking about life and recovery.
No, I remember something you said to me that night, because that was at one point where I was like, I was still wanting to do it, but I was just damn sad that it had gotten to that. Realization hit me that my life had gotten to that point to where I had to leave everything and get help. Yeah. Getting sober. And I remember talking to you one night about it, and I was just like, I mean, I'm trying to, like, I really want to do this. I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to do this, because I've never been one that, like, say I'm going to do something and not do it. If I tell myself I'm going to do it, I will go through hell, broken glass, and fire to do it. But I remember you saying something to me, and I don't even know the exact wording. It was pretty much just like, put your money where your mouth is, like, and it wasn't like in a like, really whatever way. It was like, all right, then do it. Like, you seem like a good guy. Like, you were very nice about it, and I really wish the phenobarbital for that they gave you there made me not remember much. But I remember after having that conversation with you, I was like, it was about people, places, and things. You're like, are you going to go back to the same? Like, I'm like, nah, I'm dropping out. Like, I've already dropped everybody. They just don't know it yet. Like, I had the same house. I didn't know, but my parents had moved my best friend in. Because they had just found out about all this. And, it was like one of those things. I'm like, all right, so I can surround myself with the right people. Like, that guy is the kind of right people. And then once I got, like, settled back in life, I was like, I got to find what meeting that guy goes to. What meetings does Scott go to? And then I just walked in the one on the other side of town one day, and you were there. I'm like, gotcha, bitch! Gotcha! And then, like, it was cool, man. Like, I remember once I went to the other treatment center with you and spoke to people. Yeah. And that was fun. I'm just stoked you're here, so I'm getting all the excitement out before we get to meat and potatoes.
I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
What is your, what's your clean date, sober date?
January 2nd, 2013.
Damn, bro. That's awesome.
New Year's Day, 2013, I ended up in rehab. Yeah. But I got loaded before I went. So January 2nd is my first day without putting anything into my body. Yeah. Yeah. It was a really weird day. Yeah. It was a really weird day, but it was the start of something really, really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Were you willing to go, or was it more like, I just know I have to?
There was this moment where I was on the phone with admissions to the treatment center, because there were some circumstances that led me to that position that was like forcing my hand. And I remember being on the phone talking with admissions, and I'll go tomorrow, and like I was on the phone. I was on the phone with them for like 45 minutes. Like, why was I on the phone with him for that long?
I'm sure they
I could have just hung up. You know, like if it was, it felt like a long time. And I'm guesstimating it was like 30 to 45 minutes. But eventually it was just like, fuck it, all right, I'll go. And I remember telling my parents, like my dad, like, I'll go right now if you give me $150.
Just to go get.
Yeah, and he gave me $150. I could not believe it. And I went and I copped one last time, and then I was like, all right, let's go. I came back and ended up drove to Wilmington, and I went into treatment, and then it was no looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I eventually, like, the first couple of weeks of treatment sucked.
Yeah.
Like, the first 10 days really sucked, and then it was like, it was January, so I always say it was like the best summer camp in the middle of winter that I've ever been to. It turned out to be like an absolutely pivotal moment for me.
Yeah. It struck me like that too. It was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. I needed that. So when you went in, were you on the outs with like family to where it's like, you know, this is that?
Yeah. So like I have a very, I'd say, codependent family that kind of enabled.
Right.
And I manipulated that for a long time until finally they had enough, and they were like, dude, if you don't do something about this, like, you are seriously on your own. Like, and like the next step for me is like, I was never homeless. I'm grateful I didn't experience that. But that was the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like that. It's being homeless or dead for me.
My parents are very loving, wonderful, amazing human beings. I don't know if they were like ignorant to it or just not paying attention, or just those parents that were like, I love my son so much he would never do something like this.
That's another thing. Like, denial is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Like,
Very
denial
much.
is a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug.
Like, I'll share this real quick, and this is really, like, I remember, like, I am a dumpster. I'll use anything you give me to change my consciousness, right? And that's alcohol. Loved alcohol. Heroin and opiates. Loved that. One day, my dad walked into me while I was getting my stuff ready one day, and he still was in denial about that. I mean, he had the visual proof. Visual proof. Everything's right there, and still was in absolute denial that his son could be doing that.
Damn.
You know, and that's like, no one wants to believe that their kid is self-destructing like that.
Nobody wants to believe it. I would probably be that parent. I hope not. Maybe it's different because I am an addict.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So how long after that was he finally like, all right, there's enough proof in the pudding?
That was probably 6 months before I got sober.
Okay.
I think that was like 6 months before I got sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got really reckless and just or I just stopped caring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to hide a lot more, but I started being a lot more. I don't care anymore. I just don't want to exist.
Right. Yeah. Man,
it got pretty dark for me.
That's a tough bottom to get, man. That's really rad that you can hit that sort of the isolation and depression.
Yeah.
To where you just no fucks are given anymore. To me, is harder than knowing there's an issue and just can't stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because that lack of empathy for yourself is a lot of people don't make it out of that one. Man.
I had
good on you.
At the last year or so of my drinking and using, my self-worth, my self-love is non-existent.
Yeah.
Not that I had much of that to begin with.
Right.
Just did not have that self-preservation. You know, it was just self-destruction, which was what the last few years were, but especially that last year, self-destruction.
How long after you got out of treatment did you start to feel that cup half full mentality that you have now?
Probably in the first couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, there was a huge shift in treatment where I came to terms with the fact that I am an addict.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an alcoholic. Tomato, they're one and the same for me. I came to terms with the fact that 2 weeks into treatment that I do have a problem with alcohol, because I was in denial about that.
Yeah.
Because like that wasn't my main thing. But it was always there throughout the whole stretch of from 13 to 24 when I got sober. It was throughout the whole time. I came to terms with that and I admitted that. And then I started doing some work in group therapy and then in individual therapy that was just like allowed me to peel back some layers of that onion pretty quickly that allowed a huge catharsis.
Right.
That allowed me to let some of that poison out. It's like I'd been bitten by a poisonous snake and I had to drain the poison or something.
Yeah.
And that's what treatment was like for me. That's what the group sessions, the individual counseling that I got allowed me to do. And I started getting this more positive mindset towards the end of treatment. And then I got out of treatment and I got involved in 12-step recovery. And then I'd say really around like months 3 or 4 is when I really started having a huge shift.
Yeah. So do you still like, I mean, yeah, we talked about like the meetings and stuff and it's do you still do like the counseling and still have the sponsor and all that stuff?
I don't counsel anymore.
No? Okay.
No, and that's as recent as of like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got burned out.
Yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah.
It happens.
I got super burned out. It's sad to say, but that was I'm grateful for that experience, but there's something else around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have the same sponsor that I've had since month 4 or 5.
Nice.
Talked to him this past week. We talk about once a week, every couple weeks.
Yeah.
Depending on what we got going on, but still talk to him. My core group of friends has changed throughout sobriety. Life happens. People get married. People have kids, jobs, move away.
Mm-hmm.
My closest friends, one of my closest friends lives in Hickory. I still talk to him on a fairly regular basis. Normally, like when people move away, those relationships fizzle.
Yeah.
But that's like what recovery has done for me. But it has allowed me to establish these relationships that still hold on to.
Right.
But still have the same sponsor, still go to meetings, just not as often.
Right.
Part of me feels guilty about that.
I feel you.
Part of me feels guilty about that, but then a part of me is like, this is like, it's given me a life.
Yeah.
It's given me a life that I honestly didn't deserve, or at least I felt like I didn't deserve.
Right.
And it's just given me a life worth living.
Well, I have the guilt of it because I feel like I feel guilty for being so confident and 100% sure that I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
Like I've said this every single episode. My daughter's never going to know that side of me. My wife met me after I was 1.5 years sober. She's never known that of me. My 2 stepsons, who are now 13 and 16, I met them when they were 8 and 10. They've never known that.
Yeah.
My whole entire friend group now, besides the 2 that told me I needed to go to rehab. Maybe like 3 other people. But other than that, my whole community has no idea that side of me. And
Yeah.
it's like I'm very lucky. I think whatever energy, spiritual, higher power that anybody wants to believe in, whatever that energy is for me, because I still haven't figured it out, led me to my wife,
Yeah.
led me to all these other people that, I mean, they're like, we have no idea that was, we don't see it,
I don't trust a lot of people that say they have it figured out.
No, yeah. Yeah, you don't. I don't either. And it's one of those things that I don't like to, I never say never,
Yeah.
But also I feel very, I just can't.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not going to do it. I'm that strong. It's not about that. It's just, I just fucking can't.
Yeah.
I can't go back. Like, I can't do it. I cannot raise my child and my children the way that I know that they need to be raised, with this open, I want them to know, I don't want my daughter to have to deal with this later. So I have to stay clean and sober to teach them that this disease is in our family on both sides, both of my parents' sides, both my wife's sides, everywhere. It's going to come from everywhere, and I don't want her to go through that. I want her to be so self-aware. I want her to be the biggest princess warrior. I want her to be able to wear a dress, but rip your fucking throat out like Patrick Swayze if she needs to. You know what I mean? But also be so open that she knows that this is something that she's going to have to look out for. I'm not saying never drink.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't go take a bong hit with your friends. I'm saying know that this is in your blood.
This could happen.
This could happen easily. Because to me, I didn't start drinking until I was 21.
Nobody thinks it's really going to happen to them.
Nobody. I didn't think so.
Like, nobody sets out with, I don't think anybody sets out with the idea of, like, I'm going to be an alcoholic, or when I grow up, I want to be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Or I want to be a heroin addict or whatever.
Right.
But, you play with fire, eventually you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
And it's, some people don't get burned.
Mm-hmm.
I get burned.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, like, if I had one drink, I would be gone.
Yeah.
And I feel guilty, and I digress. I feel guilty about it because not much now that I'm doing this, because this helps.
Yeah.
Like, this is a meeting for me, and thankfully, like, people are reaching out and be like, yo, that really helped. I needed to hear all of that. And I'm like, that's what it's for.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But I feel guilty that there's people that, I mean, I've got over 7 years, which is a good accomplishment. It is. There's people that don't have that could probably, learn something from in person like this. So I don't know where the guilt is coming from, but I understand when you say I kind of feel guilty.
I feel guilty mostly because, like, I'm not giving back as much.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not giving back as much. And then there's some of it that's like, in the back of my mind, I feel guilty, like I'm doing something bad, because, like, if I don't go to a lot of meetings, it's early recovery programming.
Yeah.
Like, my brain's been reprogrammed, and I've operated on fear a lot of my life. Mm-hmm. And some of that is fear-based. Like, if you don't go to meetings, you're going to get loaded.
Yep.
Chances are, for me, if I stop altogether, I am. Because, like, when I don't go to meetings, like, I can get miserable real quick.
Like the dry drunk mentality.
I can get real ornery, real restless, irritable, discontent pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. So I have to keep it in my diet. Yeah. Like, whether it's, I have to supplement. And so some weeks I'll go to 3 or 4, depending on my work schedule. And I'm taking classes right now. So some weeks I can make it to 3 or 4. Some weeks I can make it to 1. Some weeks I can't make it to any.
Yeah.
And I'll feel guilty about that because like I'm not giving back as much.
Well, no, this is unpopular opinion, Scott.
I love unpopular opinions.
The whole point of this is I kind of got tired of, so it took me about 4 years to be completely happy and to not have all the mental breakdowns and depression. Like I was still prescribed all the antidepressants, still prescribed like the non-narcotic anti-anxiety stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, as I haven't taken it in so long. Same thing they gave my dog to chill out before his nuts got cut off. I can't remember what gabapentin stuff. But I did so much to my body with chemicals, I could not take the antidepressants anymore. And then I went down a dark path, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And like I ended up having to, and now I don't trust myself. That's why like my wife is amazing at looking out for me, because she has siblings that are addicts. Like like I had to go to stuff that was more natural. I'm not saying I'm California sober. I don't sit around and smoke weed, but I do have like the CBD THC gummies that my wife holds. So if I'm having a panic attack, which I have, like, it's been about 3 months, which is great.
Yeah.
But, you know, navigating sobriety, learning how to be a parent at 40, navigating your mom being told she has 3 months and she's still around, so you're waiting for that other shoe to drop, which I'm grateful for. So I'm so glad my mom's doing well. Doing better than when she was diagnosed, actually. But navigating all that stuff, like, man, my anxiety was through the roof. And it was actually my doctor, my psychiatrist, that was just like, you know, I'm not saying you should do this, but maybe you should do this. And yeah, and it worked for me. But then I had the guilt of, now I'm not clean. Now I'm like ruining everything. And then it really took somebody who I really respected in the community to kind of tell me, like, no, you are. Are you sober? Are you still living that life? Like, are you? And I'm like, yeah. But then it kind of got me thinking, like, people do recovery so different.
Absolutely.
And it is not anybody's place to call out how somebody is living, being able to live the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's where like a big part of this came from for me. And it's like, you know, I respect the program. I respect, you know, I know like heroin addicts that still have beer every now and then. Or, I mean, do I agree with all of it? Every single way of it? No, I don't. But it's not for me to judge.
Oh, I'm living what I live, brother.
Yeah. Like,
and it's like life is so hard.
Yeah.
It's like, just because we get sober doesn't mean life gets like infinitely easier or anything like that. Life is life. Life is hard, whether we're using or not. It's difficult. Being human is awkward.
Fucking awkward.
It's so fucking awkward. And it's so fucking awkward, man.
So awkward.
Having feelings, thoughts and feelings is so awkward.
Looking like some of us do.
Yeah.
Life is fucking hard.
Yeah. And so somebody coming into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or whatever, you know, whatever path they take or don't take, like, just be fucking kind.
Yeah.
Cause like your business is your business. Like how you do things is that's you know what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what works for me.
Yeah.
And they're like, I love kombucha.
Love it.
I love it. It's my favorite drink. I drink it and water is probably the most I'd like. But some people would be like, kombucha, it's fermented. I'm like, well, if kombucha is a relapse, I haven't been sober since year 1.
Yeah. I love kombucha. I love kombucha. Every now and then, like, it's alcohol that I can't do, you know?
Yeah.
I love the taste of beer. every now and then, like after I cut the grass or I built a pergola outside, like, I'll sit there with like an NA beer and be like, yeah, this is cool. Now, I mean, after I drink, I'm like, all right, that was refreshing, but it's not the same. Like, I don't like it. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of myself that I can acknowledge how that made me feel.
Yeah.
You know, like some people, like I know a guy hasn't drank in 5 years and he kills like a 12 pack of NAs a night. And I'm like, bro, that I'm not judging, but you may want to analyze that a little bit. There's a difference between enjoying certain things every now and then that aren't going to harm you, but also doing so much that they're going to harm you. You know, like, and I'm not saying it is. Maybe, you know, I don't know. Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with our questions now. And this is a new one. I've never even asked new one because I actually been getting emails about, like, I want to know what I can do. Like, what are some ideas of things, or how do I, like, what hobbies have I acquired or new passions have I acquired that really help with staying sober? You know, like this show is one. Like, I'm doing freelance animation and graphic design for people just because it's fun for my fat ass to sit in front of a computer and make things. Like, what new things and passions have come into your life that's kind of kept your mind focused?
Man, this is like, we briefly talked about this earlier, creative outlets and stuff like that. Like, so I've always been drawn to photographs.
Yeah.
Like, I remember just sifting through like National Geographic as a kid, or like Jacques Cousteau books from the library in elementary school, and just being like, this is cool. Like, photographs, like that we can take light and it hits this mirror and it reflects that light onto an image, or onto this medium, film at that time, and it captures this image. So photography for me has been one of the biggest things for me. In 2016, my sponsor gave me an old film camera.
Dope.
Game changer for me was getting that camera. It just allowed me to, like, I can go on a photo walk by myself, be completely in the moment, looking at completely ordinary, mundane things and seeing light hit it, like sunlight and shadow, and just like capturing photos, whether it's a good photograph or not. It's just about being present and being in the moment. So photography has been one of those things for me. Photography, I've always loved live music. Live music is where it allows catharsis too.
I'm so jealous that you're able to do that. That's one thing I still can't go do.
It is. I've been to a lot of shows of a lot of different bands. So photography and live music. One day I would hope to kind of align those two, maybe.
Yeah.
For a part-time gig or something. That'd be fun. Play a lot of pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you can get into pickleball. I know a dude that just gave up his whole family because they didn't like him playing pickleball all the time.
Dude,
straight up.
So it is addictive. It gets me the dopamine that I crave.
Yeah.
And the endorphins that I crave. It can be pretty intense at times. Like, oh, but grandma could play. That's one of the cool things, is that you can play, I'm in my 30s and I can play with old Betty, who's like a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Like, who's got like mad finesse and control.
Talk shit to the old ladies.
They talk shit to me.
I bet they do.
But like, like all these, it's kind of like recovery. All these different ages have come together of different walks of life for this common purpose. To have fun.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun and it's addictive. But I see like people's personalities, like, and how addictive it can be, that like people are like super obsessive about it. That it's like the parallels between like alcoholism and addiction. Like, some addictions are better than others. Obviously, it's better to be addicted to pickleball than it is crack cocaine.
Yeah. One is better than the other.
One is better than the other. but I could see like the parallels to it, and it's like you might need to go to rehab for pickleball because like you're just bonkers obsessed.
Dude, I seriously know somebody who just like 2 kids, gorgeous wife,
Yeah,
their own company, making lots of money, decided to leave the whole family because they were missing top pickleball time.
that's wild.
I'm like, what? I went and saw him play one day. Like, he spiked it down. Like, I don't even remember what happened. I don't know the rules, but he got in this old lady's face. Was like, take that, Rosie! Like, towering over. I'm like, yo, here's too serious, dude.
It's a lot of fun. I love it. But it can be addictive, and it's just weird, the parallels. If you've never played, go to an open play, and maybe you'll see some of the parallels. But I've noticed in my limited observations, I've seen that it's pretty funny.
Is it easy for you to acknowledge when sometimes I've noticed this about myself? Like, is it easy for you to acknowledge things to where the addict side of you pops up and you're like, whoa, okay, I know that feeling that I just had, that must have, that obsessive and compulsive.
Yeah.
And do you try to back yourself away for it, or do you look on whether it's healthy for you, it's a healthy activity, and then lean into it?
Yeah, I lean into it if it's like, definitely if it's healthy.
Yeah.
I lean into it, but I also have to be mindful of like, does it take me is it taking away from time from my loved ones?
Yeah.
Like, because I have to balance that, because like I could easily become, and I still do, like I'm self-centered. Like I get caught up in my self-centered designs and what I want to do, and if it makes me feel good, like I'm going to pursue that. But I have to take a step back, and I'm grateful for that self-awareness.
Yeah.
A lot of times, sometimes I'll get caught up in it, and then eventually that self-awareness will be like, I have this moment where like, dude, you got to take a step back.
Did your wife call you out? Mine sure
No,
does.
she doesn't really call me out. She's been in Al-Anon for a long time.
Yeah.
So she's good at not necessarily. I don't know how to say it, but
I don't mean like calling out, but they, like, my wife will. We have this transparent relationship since the first second we met. So if it's something like, if I'm spending too much time editing or doing film with family, and she'll be like, hey, how you feeling about as much time as you're spending doing this? Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
And she's not saying it in like a mean way, but I'm like, makes me think. I'm like, oh.
She's good at telling me what she needs.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. She's good at telling me what she needs.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because I'll get caught up in my own stuff.
A beautiful thing, isn't it? Like this, I never thought I would have a relationship with somebody to where I truly felt like a partner, like a team.
Yeah.
To truly feel like somebody unconditionally, and that somebody unconditionally loves you without saying anything, is something that's like new to me, even though we've been together 6 years. But today it's like the biggest thing besides sobriety, I'd say, having that connection with another human.
Absolutely.
And
I'm going to be real with you, the last month and a half has been really difficult because I've been super self-obsessed.
Yeah.
And not been much of a partner.
Right.
And so it's funny that we're talking about this. Like, even though like I've been so consumed with work, and then now I'm back in school again, and I'm taking a class during the summer, and I'm taking anatomy and physiology right now, which is like, I'm passing, but it's like I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much information, and I've just been so self-consumed in all that stuff that it's like, and then other personal reasons that have taken the focus off of us, and the focus has just been on me.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of miserable the last month, like in the sense of just like stressed out, and it's affected my relationship. And like, there was a moment where she was like, we're done.
Ooh.
That was like almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And had this like major like moment where I was like, I've been trying to do this on my own, and like a first step experience of like I felt absolutely powerless and out of control. My life was unmanageable
Yeah.
at that point for like a month. And I had this realization, like I've been trying to do this on my own and I haven't been including her, and I've just been so self-consumed, and just had this moment where like I broke down.
Yeah.
And the last like week and a half, 2 weeks have been really good. But
Good.
man, I'm so freaking lucky to have her. And in a moment I could have lost that.
Yeah.
Because I was so self-consumed. And everything else that was going on in my individual world. And it wasn't a collective unit.
And it's a good thing. She sounds like she's a lot like my wife, to where she's going to let me do things.
Yeah.
She's going to tell me what she needs, And after a while, if I'm not listening, she will put the brakes on the bus. Dude. Be like, yo, get off for a second. Let's have a talk. I don't want to do this in front of the kids. Let's go outside. Like, I need this. You're not giving it to me. Do what the fuck you need to do. Bye. Like, and she's not gonna. It's like she knows that I can't just like slowly slow down. Yeah. I need to like have something get in front of the car to hit a wall and immediately stop to make me realize things.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, dude. It's weird being a creative mind, and I consider you a creative mind.
Thank you.
Creative people gravitate towards each other. You know, the thing about being an alcoholic or an addict, either way, I think it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Self-obsessive, selfish, manipulative to other people and yourself, especially yourself, and manipulates you into more obsessiveness.
Yeah. And
being creative, obsessive, self, it's the same three things.
Yeah.
So it's, I think for creatives, we can't just be like, oh, I'll get off at the next stop and slowly pick up your stuff. No, you have to be ejected through the windshield to stop, to be like, whoa. You know,
I need some blunt force trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
In the best way possible.
Well, and I think it's an amazing thing that you have that outlook and self-awareness to be like, oh, you know what? I'm flipping this shit around. Like, you know how to adjust quickly into things. And I think that's a great survival skill for us.
I think a lot of people like us can be extremely resilient. If we allow ourselves to be, especially, and to bounce back, you know, it's not easy, especially, you know, like life on life's terms. Like I can't manipulate that stuff as much as I try to. You know, life is going to happen, and I have to just try to be present, be grounded, be connected, and be willing. And first and foremost, I gotta be honest with myself, and I gotta be honest with you. Like myself first and foremost, but I have to be honest with another human being.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned in recovery, is that those things are truly important. And me being honest with myself and me being honest with you or another human being, like the last like 2 month and a half or so, it's just been like self-consumed and my own selfish ideas and plans and I haven't been happy.
Yeah.
Or happy as I could be.
And but the self-awareness of that, you're able to know how to change that. You know, a lot of people don't know how to, you know. That brings me to another question. I think this is going to run right into that. Is what is one characteristic that is from back when you were using that still pops up every now and then? You're like, whoa, all right, There's that guy.
There's two that pop up that come to mind. If I'm being honest with you,
Yeah.
it's lust
Uh-huh.
and judgmentalness.
Okay.
Because I lust not just necessarily for women or whatever, but lust for a lot of different things, I guess. And then the judgmentalness, I judge myself pretty harshly, and then I judge the world pretty harshly. And that those traits tend to come back periodically. I go through periods where I'm relieved of that, and then periods where like I'm just full of it.
Yeah.
And I think I know how the world should work, or how people should, behave or whatever. And then like those expectations are exponentially higher on myself, and then I'm just like disappointed in the world and myself.
Yeah.
Can be.
I'm constantly disappointed in the world. It's not a cool place right now, you know? Well, when those pop up, how do you chew it back or keep it in check, or, put it back in the closet, so to speak?
Prayer, meditation are like two really good things. I don't meditate as much as I used to, which is a huge part of my early recovery. I learned how to my ADHD ass learned how to be still and be quiet for an
Still learning that.
I'm not as good as it now as I was 6 months sober.
Yeah.
Like I was better at it at 6 months sober than I am now.
Right. Yeah. It's funny how we regress in some things.
I was so much better at it in early recovery with the meditation and sitting still than I am now.
Yeah.
But prayer, like, God, universe, like, take this from me, because like I can't live like this.
Okay.
I am not useful to myself. I'm not useful to you. I'm not useful to my peers. Take this from me. Help me be the best version of myself, essentially, is what those prayers are. I'll say that prayer many times throughout the day. And I might get a few moments or a couple of hours of relief, and then it'll come back, and then I'll do it, whenever it pops into my mind, having that awareness to like say that prayer, put it out into the universe that I'm willing to let go of this. And eventually, like, oh, I hadn't
thought about that.
I've been super cup half full, about the world.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny how prayer can, you're like, why am I doing this? Nothing's going to happen, but it's, and I'm not even going to give a reason, but it's all of a sudden, you're right. It's just like, I haven't thought about it. It was taken away, or, that's a good answer.
It's, the answer for me is spiritual, and I don't always want to do that.
Yeah.
I want it. I want what I want, and I want it now, and I want this to be taken away. And it's like practicing it is the tough part, and just being like, God, take this from me. I can't do this on my own.
That's a great answer. I think you're the first person that's gone in that direction. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person.
Same.
I was raised in a church.
Same.
Grandfather, preacher, mom. My mom's 85 and she's still reading.
Dude, my dad was a deacon, and I thought he was going to be a pastor at one point.
Yeah.
Or he thought he was going to be a pastor at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was just being raised in a church and seeing a lot of the things I didn't agree with. But spiritually,
prayer used to freak me out, man.
Yeah. It still freaks me out sometimes. I do it. But I do it in my own way. Like,
for sure,
people think that when they hear the word pray, they think that you're sitting down and you're putting your hands together and you're closing your eyes and bowing your head. It's not always like that. It's about a connection that you feel to either a higher power, the universe, or the surrounding energy, whatever it may be. Fucking crystal on the table, like whatever. Like it's about
We gotta align our chakras, bro.
yeah.
My chakras been out of alignment for a little while.
Yeah. It's that's a good way to do it. I think my mom watches these episodes. She's gonna be really proud to hear me say that I do pray, that I do,
Yeah,
might not be in the way that she wants there, but
totally relate to that too.
yeah, exactly. So here is my favorite question to ask, because it usually brings me the most joy to hear answers. So, we can think about our entire lives in 5 seconds. Flash through everything, feel all the emotions that come with it. Thinking about your entire life from, goo goo gaga to right now, what are you the most proud of?
I'm most proud that I stopped hurting people and I stopped hurting myself, and that I've been sober for almost 12 years, and the fact that I am in a relationship with an incredible woman who is I'd say jokingly I don't deserve.
Right.
Like, dude, like God was looking out for me.
Feel you.
So that's probably what I'm most proud of, those things.
The feeling of earning
Yeah.
who you are right now.
Yeah.
What you have. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. And I feel you on that. It's almost like we're the same fucking person, Scott.
Dude,
I
got a red beard, I got a brown beard. You got some grays. I got some grays coming through.
Saw those last week on the episode. I'm like,
I shaved my head this morning because it was
nice. I think I completely agree with you. I think, and that's an amazing answer, knowing that all the hard work and all the passion that you put into yourself to get to a certain point that drew the people that are now in your life, and drew the respect that people have for you that would never had that before, I think that's a true testament to what kind of good person and hard work, like what kind of hard work can get you to being such a person that you may not admire all the time. We don't love ourselves all the time. We can't. It's stupid. Why would you want to do that? I call that arrogant assholes. Like, you have to be so self-aware of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, it's a skill that you've, I don't think we ever master it, but I think we're able to ride on for the whole 8 seconds.
Yeah.
And then get back on again.
It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm trying to use it as a gift.
Man, I think gifts are great, but then we forget we got them.
Yeah.
Kind of like my 5-year-old. I can give her the beautiful gift and she's going to play with the fucking box and forget that I got her the gift. Same thing with loving yourself and being appreciative and grateful. It is a feeling that you get. Feelings come and go.
Yeah,
but the self-awareness is a skill that can't be taught. Good on you for that, man.
Thanks, man.
Very cool, dude. We made my day. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, high time we look up to the great beyond, without wondering exactly what goes on. I wanna put myself in the middle of our galaxy with my eyes wide open and see what only I can see. We can receive radio signals from space to take what lies beyond us only